days into the new year, a country was struck, a president and his wife were captured, many other countries were threatened, and all of this was done by the world's largest economy. The US military on January 3rd captured the Venezuelan president Nicolas Maduro and his wife. Now, if you know Venezuela and the US, there is a history of drug trafficking, corruption, and sanctions. But why did Trump capture its president and his wife? The operation, called Absolute Resolve, unfolded with around 150 aircrafts launched towards the Latin American country from 20 different bases across Western Hemisphere. It marked as the most direct US intervention in Latin America since 1989 invasion of Panama. Trump has repeatedly called Maduro to be removed from power, accusing him of sending drugs and criminals to the United States and stealing American oil. Trump now says that US will temporarily run the country while a political transition is organized. This capture has sparked global debate about the role of oil reserves in US's attack on Venezuela. Venezuela is not just another oil producer. It has the world's largest proven oil reserves, estimated at around 303 billion barrels as per global energy data. Now, this is more than 5 times the size of US oil reserves. And Trump has announced that US will now control this oil and said that there will be more strikes if the leaders of Venezuela do not behave, and he demanded total access to resources in Venezuela.
We need total access. We need access to the oil and to other things in their country that allow us to rebuild their country.
In short, the US will build the oil infrastructure and get oil flowing the way it should be, and American companies will be footing and profiting from the bill. Reviving Venezuela's oil sector represents a $100 billion gamble for the US, covering infrastructure, rebuilds, and security.
We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country.
He does not directly want to control the resources per se, but he wants US companies to actually build the infrastructure and profit from the Venezuelan oil. But why does Trump want to do this? In recent years, Venezuela has tried to sell oil using other currencies apart from the dollar, including yuan and digital payment systems. And that is a trigger similar to BRICS nations wanting to reduce reliance on the dollar, but Venezuela also has an oil edge. Since 1970s, most oil traded in the world has been priced in dollars regardless of where it is being produced or consumed. Now, this means that any country importing oil must first get dollars. As oil is an essential for everything from transport, power to industry, the demand for dollar remains consistent across the world, keeping dollar strong. Oil exporting countries receive dollars from the crude sales. Then the dollar is invested back to the US economy through the US government bonds and financial markets. This keeps the demand for dollar and US debt very high. For years, Venezuela has been facing sanctions, and so it began experimenting oil sales outside the dollar system. It accepted payments in yuan, euros, and others. China buys most of the Venezuelan oil and has supported this shift through direct currency deals and investments in its oil fields. So despite sanctions, Venezuela continued to produce close to 900,000 barrels of oil per day, and this is not one-off. In the past, US has either through military or political intervention tried to attack oil-rich countries. The 2003 Iraq invasion was officially justified on security grounds. In Libya, NATO intervention in 2011 was followed by long-term instability. In Cuba, decades of sanctions were linked to broader strategic control in the region. Now, is the US intervention going to benefit the world and Venezuela or not? Well, even as Venezuela has the largest oil reserves globally, the production is low because of the US sanctions and the economic crisis in the country. Trump now wants to get American companies to get there so more Venezuelan oil can be pumped into the global markets, which would benefit the US largely, but also the world. If the plan plays out and Venezuela's oil industry turns into a larger oil supplier, the oil sector in the country may get investments from across the world too. More oil supply in the market would mean lesser pressure on oil prices in the long run, as global markets are already impacted by Russia-Ukraine war as of now. The bad part, well, now Trump may have next targets. Fears have also been fanned that Trump could be looking at Greenland after his most influential aide posted a picture on social media of Greenland painted in colors of the US flag, writing "soon" above it.
Secretary Rubio mentioned Cuba yesterday in his remarks. Does the US have a plan to do something?
Well, Cuba always survived because of Venezuela. Now they won't have that money coming in. They won't have the income coming in. You know, a lot of Cubans were killed yesterday. You know that. I will say this about Greenland. We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic. Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And Denmark is not going to be able to do it, I can tell you.
But what does this mean for India? If Venezuelan leadership negotiates and gets sanctions suspended, it would open doors for more Venezuelan oil to flow freely in the market, including in India. ONGC could receive $500 million worth of stuck dividends from shareholding in two Venezuelan oil and gas companies. RIL was a regular buyer of Venezuelan crude prior to the imposition of US sanctions in 2019. On January 5, shares of Reliance, ONGC, Oil India and Indian Oil Corporation gained in trade following the strikes. So while the reasons for the strike might be many, the timing sparks a debate whether the strikes were to take control of Venezuela's oil reserves or to curb corruption and remove the president from power. What do you think about this? Let us know in the comments, and like, share and subscribe to ET Now for more such news and views.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.